Hey everyone, and welcome to the Iceberg Lounge. I'm your host, Thomas Single, and with me in chair number 2, as always, is Randy Dobbins. Hey
Hello.
Randy.
Hello.
Before we get into this podcast, we're going to go ahead and hit a commercial, but on today's show, we're going to be talking about the brawl that happened over the weekend at a college football game, and we're going to go over the NY6 bowls. So sit back and relax and chill out with us. But first, let's go to a break. And we're back. So on New Year's Eve, Tulsa and Mississippi State had a game against each other, the Armed Forces Bowl.
Was this in 2020?
Yeah. It was
That's
December 31st.
Par for course for 2020, but yeah.
And so apparently they had a big brawl at the end of the game. Have you seen that one, Randy?
Yeah, I saw it all over Twitter.
Yeah, so who told me was my pastor. I was up there getting ready for the New Year's Eve service we were going to do, and he asked if I saw it yet. And I didn't hear about it till now. And I was like, okay, well, I'll check it out when I get home. Checked it out, and both sides went to war after the game. Mississippi State won by 2 points, I think.
Dude, it really started before the game.
Yeah, I heard that there was basically they were mouthing off to each other.
Yeah, they were excuse my chewing. I'm chewing on ice. But there was this huge fight. I wouldn't say fight. It was just basically them, like you said, running their mouths. And they hadn't even got their unis on or anything. Most of them were shirtless in their sweats or their shorts or whatever, and they were all just mouthing off. And finally, they got into the locker rooms and separated.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like there's a tension anyway because Tulsa, I believe, is an AAC school, and obviously the AAC is the number one conference in the lower 5 of Division I.
Yeah,
and so I feel like that's kind of was the main tension of it because there's not a rivalry there. And so maybe this was because they were an AAC school going against a Power 5. But apparently throughout the game, I guess they were having issues back and forth, probably saying stuff to each other. And then at the end of the game, they were going, shaking hands as usual, and then a brawl just started going out. And from what I saw, it was number 7 on, I believe, Tulsa side, if I remember correctly.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Everyone was throwing hard punches, but then number 7 got knocked down, and a Mississippi State player ran up and kicked the dude's helmet, almost curb stomped him with cleats on the dude's helmet, and it looked like it was the front where the face is.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, and the dude got up and then he didn't have his helmet on, and he was just trying to, I guess, run away and get away from people. But both sides were at fault, really.
Yeah.
And
I know before the whole fight started at the end of the game, number 7 was it was about to start. He was like, "Where's my helmet? Where's my helmet? Give me my helmet."
Yeah, it was very brutal. And I really felt it was unnecessary because I could see a rivalry team doing that to each other. But like y'all are like these is just like a random bowl game. It's like something had to been said, but
That so I feel like something was said, and something I feel like also amounted to it was there being two SEC schools in the top five in Cincinnati, who is also in the AAC, got gypped from a national
yeah,
championship, like playing in the playoffs.
yeah, which we'll talk about that later because I feel like they're showing they proved a lot. But from as of right now, I haven't seen any reports on any punishments for either one of the teams. I personally feel they shouldn't have bowl privilege for a year.
Yeah, same.
Um, to where like, look, at least for 1 year, y'all can't even be bowl eligible because of what happened this year. At least for a year.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're probably just gonna fine them, and that's it. But
What?
they had to
What?
carry number one off the field. Like they had two look like trainers under each arm of number one, and they were carrying him off. And from what I heard from the commentators, he said he couldn't breathe. Like, and this was on Tulsa's side still. And so if that has any worse injuries, at least make them pay a fine equal enough for that dude's medical bills if it's bad.
Honestly, if I was him, I would do Mississippi State and the SEC.
Yeah, because that was insane. Like number 7, the one that looked like got curb stomped was fine, but then you had number 1. He's being carried off, and I still couldn't see what happened to him.
Mm. It's not the first Mississippi State fight I've seen.
Yeah, so that kind of leaves a bad mark for the
My group.
Southeastern Conference, but there's still that tension between the AAC because they're trying to get recognized. But before we get into the New Year's Six games, I would like just to stop and say, don't forget to follow this podcast wherever you are on whatever podcasting platform you are. Go to my linktree / trji. There will have all my links to not only my top podcast platforms, but the YouTube channel, the Twitch channel. Go subscribe and follow there, and to the Real Music Radio Spotify playlist where you can listen to some good real music. Also, go over and follow Randy's podcast, Randy's Rankings. Go follow his YouTube channel, K Town Gaming, and go follow his Twitch, which is K Town Gaming as well.
It's K Town Gaming.
Yeah, K Town Gaming.
No, it's K Town Gaming.
Oh, it's K Town Gaming on Twitch. But let's get into these New Year's Six bowls.
Before we do anything, I have an
yeah,
interesting stat for you.
go ahead.
The last 2 years, get this ice out of my mouth real quick. The last 2 years, the ACC, the Atlantic Coastal Conference, has gone 4-13 in bowl games. 2 of those 4 wins coming against Eastern Michigan and Temple. They were 1-9 versus top 25 opponents. And then the same 2 years, the SEC has gone 15-4 in bowl games. They were 12-3 against top 25 opponents.
Oh wow!
So I
thought that ACC did better in bowl games, but apparently not.
and this is just from the last couple years.
Man, that's an interesting stat. So I'm gonna go. They had when I looked these bowl games up, they had them in different orders, but I'm going through them in rankings. So the first one we're going to talk about is the Fiesta Bowl that happened, where you had the Pac-12 champion, number 25 Oregon, losing to Iowa State. Um, from what it looked like, this proves Oregon didn't deserve a bowl game.
Yeah.
I mean, Oregon, their record was 4-3. They're barely in the top 25. Like, this just proved that another team, to me, should have had the opportunity against Iowa State, possibly a BYU or even a Coastal Carolina. I think either one of those could have been a better fit than Oregon this year. Um, Iowa during this game came in at number 10. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think Oregon deserved to have a bowl game in the New Year's Six, which I consider the top bowls of all of them?
Uh, no, not really, because they should have. I I don't know. I think you have to have at least a record of at least 8 games or more to get in a New Year's into any bowl game.
Yeah, which, like I said, they're a champion, a Pac-12 champion with a record of 4-3.
Mm.
Like, they have the worst record of all Division One conference champions, which says something.
Yeah.
So moving on, we have the Peach Bowl, where we had number 8 Cincinnati versus number 9 Georgia. Cincinnati comes in as the AAC champion, and they go up against Georgia. And to me, this is Cincinnati showing that the AAC needs more respect when it comes to Division One football.
Because they almost especially the AAC as a whole, because UCF did go undefeated for 2 years in a
Mm-hmm.
row, beat Auburn,
Mm-hmm.
and then Cincinnati goes undefeated, conference champ, doesn't get in, and almost beats arguably one of the best SEC schools.
Exactly. Like Georgia literally beat them on a last minute field goal.
Yeah, literally when it went good, there's 2 seconds left on the clock.
Like, to me, this proves that the AAC needs more respect. And honestly, I would say move the Pac 12 down to the lower five and bring the AAC up to the Power Five. Because what people sometimes don't understand, at least the casual fans of football, is there are technically 10 conferences in Division One. You have the Power Five, which is the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac 12, and then the Southeastern Conference. Then you have
The
like
A, you have the
the
ACC, you have the MAC, you have Conference USA, you have the Mountain West, and then did I say AAC?
yeah, and then the Sun Belt.
Yeah, Sun Belt. That's the one I was missing.
And just looking at it, Coastal Carolina, who the Sun Belt never had a conference championship this season because of COVID-19. But if you look at the people who were supposed to be playing and you take their records and had to pick a Sun Belt champion based off of records,
Yeah,
it would have been Coastal Carolina.
yeah,
Coastal Carolina, 11-1. Then you have Cincinnati, which their only loss was literally to Georgia in this bowl game.
We're undefeated.
Yeah, until this bowl game.
In the regular season.
So honestly, like, which we'll bring this up later when we get to the semifinal games. Like the Sun Belt and what we can call the American Conference, the AAC, are the top two of the lower five, and to me, should be getting more respect right now. And the only reason I'm putting the American Conference over Sun Belt is because of the 2 years with UCF.
Yeah.
Like, this is multiple years of them doing well and not getting anything for it. But yeah, this was Cincinnati's first loss of the season to Georgia. Georgia gets a win for the Southeastern Conference in this big bowl game, but to me, Cincinnati shows that the AAC needed more respect. Now we're moving on to the Cotton Bowl. We have number 6 Oklahoma, who is the Big 12 champion, and they're coming in at number 6 in the nation, going up against number 7 Florida, who I would say is the second best team in the Southeastern Conference this season. This destroyed Trask's chances at a Heisman. Oklahoma defeated Florida, Cotton Bowl champions. Yeah, this destroyed his chances of getting the Heisman.
It really did.
And kind of exposed him a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he just recently, within the last few weeks of the season, kind of brought his name up into the picture. Because at the end of the season, you had Mac, you had Devontae, Harris, and then you had Trask. And then all those are the top 4 pretty much of the Heisman watch. And then you have
Justin Fields.
I would actually put Clemson's quarterback in there as number 5. And like, it was mostly like the watch has been dominated by the Southeastern Conference this year, but this definitely takes Trask out of it.
Yeah, because let me throw some stats at you about the for Florida when they played Oklahoma.
All right.
Here's Florida stats. They had 28 first downs. Oklahoma only had 25. But listen to this. Florida went 1-2 on fourth downs. 4-13 on third downs. Dude, they did. They only had 521 total yards.
Okay.
Versus Oklahoma 684.
Okay.
Passing 271 for Florida, 249 for Oklahoma. Kyle Trask went 25 and 45.
Ooh. So probably a little under 50%.
Yeah, and Oklahoma's quarterback went 15 and 25.
That's
way better.
Way better, yeah.
Yards per pass for Trask was 6. And for Oklahoma was 10.
Man.
Trask had 3 interceptions.
That's probably what hurt him a lot as well.
Yeah. Rushing yards for Florida was 250, and for Oklahoma was 435.
Man, they doubled rushing, man.
Yards per rush was 6.4 for Florida, and for Oklahoma was 10.9.
So basically, every time they ran, they got a first down.
Yeah, just about. And listen to this: Oklahoma had 4 penalties for 40 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Florida had 8 for 61.
That hurt them as well.
Oklahoma had 2 fumbles lost, and Florida had 0. But Florida also had 3 interceptions to Oklahoma 0.
Mm.
And listen to this: Look, Florida, Oklahoma had 26 minutes 40 seconds was their possession time, and Florida's was 33-20.
Man.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, like I don't know if Florida just still wasn't over their loss to Alabama in the championship game or what, but something was up.
The thing is, I feel like Florida, they were good all season, and then was the moment they got on the field against a real team like Alabama, they got played,
Yeah,
they got beat. Every starter got beat.
because
They got
I will admit the Western Conference of the Southeastern Conference is packed no matter what compared to the East.
And then they also played a real team like Oklahoma, who showed
Yeah,
them what.
exactly. Because Oklahoma came in as their conference champion in the Big 12.
Yeah,
All right, well, let's move on to the Orange Bowl with I would say it's an interesting matchup. You have number 13 North Carolina versus number 5 Texas A&M. Neither one of these teams are a conference champion. Um, I and my kind of thing is North Carolina lost to Texas A&M. I would like to say good job to Texas A&M. You know, congrats, bringing another W to the conference as a whole. But my one problem is I still don't know why people wanted them in the playoff.
me either. I guess
I don't see the fanfare that everyone has behind them about it.
the only reason I would put A&M in there is take Notre Dame out, put them in, but still there are better teams that deserve to be in there besides A&M.
Yeah, because Alabama's already beat Texas A&M, so why should they be
They
in a
would,
playoff? Like at least Clemson Notre Dame made sense because they both lost to each other.
yeah. One beat one in the regular season, then the other beat the other in the conference champ.
Exactly. Like at least that makes sense. Texas A&M, like good job, but
Yeah.
to me, I would put another conference champion over you in there simply because you lost to Alabama, who's already in there.
By the way, their stats are pretty similar.
To
Like
Oklahoma, Florida.
no, like A&M and North Carolina's are like fairly close.
Oh, really?
Yeah, A&M had 19 first downs. Carolina had 18.
All right.
Third down efficiency for A&M was 5 and 13, 5 out of 13, and then for Carolina it was 5 out of 15.
Okay.
Fourth down efficiency 1-1 for A&M, 1-3 for Carolina.
Mm.
Only things that's not really close as far as I can see is total yards, and that's for A&M 457, Carolina 324. Passing was 232 for A&M, 234 for Carolina.
That's kind of close.
Completion attempts for A&M was 16 and 26, 18 and 31 for Carolina.
Okay, so if Texas is supposed to be Texas A&M is supposed to be this good, why are they so similar stat wise in this game?
To an 8-4 Carolina.
Exactly. Like, shouldn't they have been like beating the brakes off of North Carolina?
Yeah, and it's the only thing they like totally smothered Carolina in was rushing yards, and they had 225, and Carolina had 90.
Yeah, like that seems like the only thing that kind of set them apart from them.
Yeah, because like rushing, like I said, 225 to 90, they completely smoked them. But then again, they both had somewhere rushing attempts, which was 35 for A&M, 34 for Carolina.
Hmm.
6.4 yards per rush for A&M, 2.6 for North Carolina.
Yeah.
So they's only getting four more attempts,
Yeah, it's and
four
see
more
that
yards.
and like I don't for anyone who's a Texas A&M fan listening, like I'm not saying that they're a bad team. They are a good team. I just don't think that the hype around them being like they should be in the playoffs is deserving.
Yeah.
I just don't. Like, I feel there are other teams that are conference champions that deserve it more, like a Cincinnati or a Coastal Carolina, that have better records and are conference champions. Even BYU, who's an independent, I think should have been put in before Texas A&M.
And it's not like they haven't put an independent in before, because they've done that with
Notre
Notre
Dame,
Dame.
exactly. Um, but Texas A&M is your Orange Bowl champions. Moving on to our first of two semifinal playoff um, contests is the Sugar Bowl. Number 2, Clemson, who is the ACC champion, 10-2, so a two, or at the time it was 10-1. Going up against number 3, Ohio State, who is the Big Ten champion, who went in undefeated. Clemson lost to Ohio State, and Ohio State exposed Clemson. Exposed them.
Dude, like their stats are kind of like A&M, where they're really similar.
They're similar, but Ohio State destroyed Clemson.
Yeah,
It might just be they have similar stats, but like Clemson just couldn't follow through.
yeah,
But Ohio State exposed Clemson, and to me, the ACC as a whole, when it came to the playoffs, got exposed bad this season.
yeah, because they had two teams that got blown out
Like, the conference had a 50% chance of going
to the
to
Natty.
exactly. Um, but Ohio State, what did Clemson say about Ohio State before coming in?
They literally said that Clemson, I think their coach Dabo Swinney said that they're a good team, but they're like not even. They shouldn't even be in the top 10.
Which, honestly, before this matchup, I totally agreed. Simply because of the number of games that they played. But after this game, like, yeah, go ahead, do your thing, Ohio State.
Yeah,
They they beat Clemson, um, and they're moving on. You got any final words when it comes to that? Because I think Dabo Swinney he shouldn't have opened his mouth, to
yeah,
be honest.
yeah, he said too much. Dude, let me tell you about these stats though, for real.
All right, come on with it.
Ohio State, whichever stat comes first will be Ohio State. Then the second stat will be Clemson.
All right.
First downs, 26 for Ohio State, 23 for Clemson.
Mm.
Both are tied for third down efficiency at 5 and 12.
Okay.
So roughly half. Fourth down efficiency, Ohio State never went for it on fourth down. Clemson was 0-2. Total yards for Ohio State was 639, and Clemson only had 444.
Okay.
Yeah, and then passing for Ohio State was 385, and Clemson was 400.
Oh wow.
So it's not too much of a difference on passing.
Yeah. Like I said, it seems like it might just have been just a completion issue for Clemson. They've got the yards, they've got the stats to keep up with Ohio State, but
Yeah.
I guess they couldn't finish.
Completion attempts for Ohio State was 22 and 20 of 28, which is almost perfect.
Yeah.
And then for for Clemson, it was 33 of 48.
Yeah, like it just seems like they just couldn't finish when it came to it was their side of the ball.
Yeah. Yards per pass, 13.8 for Justin Fields, 8.3 for Trevor Lawrence. Both threw one interception. Rushing, dear Lord. God help them. Ohio State had 254 and Clemson had 44 rushing yards.
Oof. Oof.
Over 200 more.
Oof. So many times more than them.
44 attempts for Ohio State, and Clemson only had 22.
Okay, yeah, they had more attempts.
Yards per rush, 5.8, and Clemson only got 2 yards per rush.
Oof. 2 yards.
Penalties? Dude, listen to the penalties for Ohio State and tell me how Clemson didn't win. Penalties for Ohio State was they had 9 penalties, totaling up to 95 yards.
That's basically a free touchdown.
Yeah, and then Clemson had 3 for 20 yards.
Okay, that to me that proves it was a finishing issue. They couldn't finish when they had the ball.
Yeah. And then the Ohio State had only one turnover, which was an interception thrown. And then Clemson had 2 turnovers, a fumble lost, and an interception thrown.
Oh man.
And then their possession, Ohio State had the ball for 34 minutes and 5 seconds. And then Clemson had it for almost 26 minutes.
So that was about even as well.
Yeah. So everything was just about even except for like maybe rushing and passing or total yards rather. So it was more or less a Clemson couldn't finish. So Ohio
Yeah.
State took a ton advantage.
Like, and honestly, that I kind of now want to say that Clemson didn't get exposed, but it was shown that they need more practice on finishing.
Yeah. It I don't know because it feels like they could have finished, but they were like, it's Ohio State. We're not going to worry about it.
Yeah. Considering Ohio State came in with 6-0, they came in 6-0.
Mm-hmm.
Like they only played really half the games they usually do. They probably didn't see them as a threat.
Yeah, probably.
Now let's move to the main event. In the last semifinal game, you had in the Rose Bowl, number 1, the Southeastern Conference champions, Alabama, versus number 4, the second best team in the ACC, Notre Dame. Alabama obviously defeated Notre Dame and moves on and becomes Rose Bowl champ, but moves on to the national title picture.
Beach bound.
Um, but to me, this shows that another team should have had Notre Dame's spot, and possibly, I believe that should have been Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Because they almost beat Georgia, and I just feel like that spot should have been given to another conference champion. Because I feel like the playoffs should only have 4 conference champions in it.
Yeah.
That are deserving, and I feel like Notre Dame spot should have been given to Cincinnati.
Now, Thomas, once you look at the stats, you might think differently.
I might.
For
All
real,
right.
for real.
All right. Let's talk.
First downs, both had 24 first downs.
Oh, wow.
Third down efficiency for Notre Dame was 8 and 16, and my boy Mac, we had 6 of 10 third downs.
Ooh, Mac Daddy himself, the Joker.
The Joker. Fourth down efficiency was 2 out of 2 of 3 for Notre Dame. Alabama was 0 out of 0.
All right.
Total yards for the Irish was 375, and Alabama had 437.
Okay.
Passing was 236 for Notre Dame. For Alabama, for the Joker was 297.
That's close.
Completion attempt for Notre Dame was 28 out of 42.
All right.
And let me tell you something about the Joker. He had 25 out of 30.
Oof. Oof. That's why he's
with 9.9 yards per pass.
That's why he's in the Heisman watch.
9.9 yards per pass for Matt Jones.
Almost guaranteed first down every time that ball left his hand.
And then for Notre Dame, it was 5.6. Notre Dame had 1 interception, while Matt Jones had 0.
Hey, good job.
Rushing was fairly close, with the Irish having 139 and Alabama having 140. This is like the only thing they beat Alabama in is rushing attempts.
Really? At rushing?
38 rushing attempts, while Alabama had 25.
Yeah, they're relying on Mac a lot now.
3.7 per game per rush, yards per rush, and then Alabama had 5.6, which is almost guaranteed you can get a first down at 2 rushes. And the only thing that else they beat Alabama in is penalties. They had 3 for 25 yards, while Alabama had 6 for 59.
Okay.
Turnovers was 1 for Notre Dame, 0 for Alabama, and possession of clock for the Irish was 33 minutes, 43 seconds, 26 minutes, 17 seconds for Alabama.
So, I still feel like Cincinnati might have deserved it more, but do you think that the ACC's main problem, considering we went over both Clemson and Notre Dame, is more of finishing whenever they have the ball?
Yeah. Well, maybe with Clemson.
Yeah, because Notre Dame did in some areas stay close stat-wise with Alabama.
Yeah.
But like the score says something real different though.
Yeah, which is why
Yeah.
more advocating for Clemson and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
When you get beat by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Out of the both, I would have exchanged Notre Dame more than Clemson when it came to the playoffs with somebody else.
Yeah.
But now the college football playoff national championship has been set. It's going to be in Miami, Florida.
South Beach.
Number 1, the Southeastern Conference champion,
Number
the
3.
the Rose Bowl champion. Number 1, the University of Alabama versus number 3, the Big Ten champion and the Sugar Bowl champion, Ohio State. And it's going to be January the 11th at 7 p.m. Central Time. So
a week from today.
Yeah, a week from today. If you are not in the Central Time Zone, go look up the listings of times for your time zone. And it's going to be on ESPN.
Guess how much percent Alabama is predicted to win?
How much?
They're predicted to they have a 62.5% chance to win.
Ooh.
Meaning meaning Ohio State has a 37.5% chance to win.
Man. And I think, honestly, that's because of Mac, Devontae, and Najee.
Because, look, you got the Joker, you got the Slim Reaper, Smitty, and then you got Najee Harris, who doesn't have a nickname. I don't know why. So, that's Alabama honestly has a 3-headed beast. You know what I mean?
They have a lot of good talent this year that makes them very hard to deal with.
And I have some great news.
All right.
1, Mr. Jalen Waddle is reported to be at practice.
Dude.
So
Jalen Waddle?
He's reported to be at practice.
If Waddle is confirmed to be in that game, it is over for Ohio State.
Dude, it will be, because we'd have Waddle, we'd had the Slim Reaper, and Najee, and Mac Jones.
That's oof.
And I'm telling you right now, if Waddle didn't get hurt and he played the rest of the season, Waddle would be in the top 3 going to New York.
Yeah, I would have to agree, because when he got hurt, I was telling people, I was like, his next play more than likely will be in the pros if he gets drafted. But if he's at practice and he shows up in gear down at South Beach, it's like, honestly, he might be Nick Saban's secret weapon.
Yeah.
Man, that was a great report by you, Randy.
I've heard from 2 or 3 different places that Waddle has been seen in full gear practicing.
Oh.
I don't know how trustworthy these sources are.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen and heard, he's been seen practicing with the team.
Well, let's end it on that. Thank y'all for listening to the Iceberg Lounge with me and Randy. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your friends and family, review us when you can, give us 5 stars. It'd help the podcast be seen more. And we'll grow the audience, our fam, a little bit more. If you want to support the Iceberg Lounge, go to patreon.com/trji, and for $1 a month, you will have the access to content first before anyone else, and will become a VIP of the Iceberg Lounge. Anyway, know that God loves you. We love you. And always remember, all to God.